Folks, we just got our first look at Pokémon Legends ZA, and boy do I have some thoughts. Welcome to the Mario Matter, your favorite Nintendo podcast, episode 130, the big 130. How are y'all doing? Welcome in, folks. I'm your host, Nintendo YouTuber EmSwizzle. We got a lot to discuss today. Let's run you through what today's program looks like. First things first, in about 30 seconds, we go over some Nintendo news. Not gonna lie, it's pretty empty, but we do have one thing to discuss. After that, we then dive into the Pokémon Presents that aired Thursday, February 27th, 2025, where we saw our first look at Pokémon Legends ZA, Pokémon Champions, a lot of cool stuff there. We dive into all of that. Then at the tail end of the podcast, I answer your questions you ask me in the Q&A segment. It's all good stuff. If you want to skip anywhere in the podcast, if you want to skip right to the Pokemon talk, you can do so. There are timestamps in the description. Otherwise, Bruce Buffer, read the intro. Let's get to some Nintendo news.
Welcome to the Mario Matter, the #1 Nintendo podcast.
All right, welcome to the Nintendo news segment where I usually, my friends, have a lot more Nintendo news to talk about, but today we have one piece of news before we get to all of the Pokemon Presents stuff, and that is a new a new 3D mock-up of the Nintendo Switch 2 dock that is rumored, and will probably be happening, has come out. So essentially, we can see the Nintendo Switch 2 dock in full. We can see every angle of it. I'll put some pictures on screen for the video edition. Audio listeners, I will leave a link down below to view all of the pictures of this Nintendo Switch 2 dock mock-up. You can see the back, the inside, and it's exactly like the leaked pictures that we've seen of the dock, where the back, of course, has the USB, USB-C, and Ethernet port. This is all standard stuff. Oh, sorry, not USB, HDMI, USB-C, Ethernet. My apologies. You can see the front, which will have the Switch 2 logo. We can see all of this, right? So just a new 3D mock-up, nothing major. But we can see all angles of the dock if you ever wanted to do that in your life. If that's a cool thing for you, there you go. I'm not gonna dilly-dally. I'm not gonna make this segment longer than it needs to be. That is our only piece of news from this week. I had a rumor listed on this Nintendo news segment from Nate the Hate. Nate the Hate posted a YouTube poll to his YouTube channel, which usually means when he does that, it means that something is coming. So like last October, he posted a Nintendo might have a hardware reveal soon. And then they showed off Alarmo. He did that with certain Nintendo Directs. He was like, will there be a Direct this week? And then there was one. So he does these polls whenever something might happen. So he did one for, I believe it was like, will we see any Nintendo news before the end of February? And people thought it was a thing where there was going to be some Nintendo news, non-Pokemon, before the end of the month. And then he said, guys, this was not meant to be a tease. I was genuinely asking. So, if there's any Nintendo news before the end of February, we can't talk about it because, as I'm recording, it's not out yet. So, that shouldn't be happening. And then I also had Xenoblade Chronicles X had a trailer, a pretty in-depth trailer release this week, showing the ins and the outs of the remake and the added content. I'm not going to talk about it because honestly, I don't really know what I'm looking at. I'm not the biggest Xenoblade guy, but that's okay, folks. What you're here for is the Pokemon stuff, okay? As I'm recording this, we are 2 hours fresh off of the Pokemon Presents. I got some strong thoughts. We'll take you through everything that was announced, my thoughts on it, and if you did not see the presentation, which not sure how you didn't, I'll walk you through all the information, or all of the big information that was brought up in the presentation. Let's go ahead and let's just get to talking about all the Pokemon stuff from this week. let's get to it. Yeah, I think that was the fastest Nintendo news headline segment in the history of this program. If I'm wrong, if there's a dedicated listener out there that knows differently, please do let me know. But I think that was pretty short. Anyways, guys, so last week we got announced, or we got told from an announcement, that there would be a Pokémon Presents, which is essentially a Nintendo Direct, but for Pokemon. It's not called a Direct, but it's called a Pokémon Presents, where the Pokemon Company shares information about their mobile apps and their upcoming video games and all sorts of things. You know, when Pokemon Snap gets announced, that's happening in a Pokemon Presents. When Scarlet and Violet get announced, happens in a Pokemon Presents. And today, as of recording, Thursday, the day of the presentation, is Pokemon Day. So, you know, might get some cool announcements, right? Well, sort of. So we had this presentation, and I'll go ahead and, you know, let's just walk through everything that was announced. This is decently chronological. We can dive in. So I live streamed this, and I was talking to my chat. I was saying, guys, how much of this is just going to be mobile app updates? And I think, you know, I'd put out a poll, and a lot of people were like 4 to 5 mobile app updates. Wow, they freaking nailed it, because here's everything that was announced before the big stuff. We got new episodes of the Netflix series Pokémon Concierge coming in September of 2025. Not a mobile app update, but, you know, nothing that we really wanted to hear, right? Pokemon Go has a tour coming up, Unova Global, that happens Saturday, March 1st and Sunday, March 2nd. Pokemon Masters EX is having its 5.5-year celebration. Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Sleep, Unite, TCG Pocket, and Scarlet and Violet all got updates. Nothing crazy major, more so in-game events for all of those mobile apps, and then also Scarlet and Violet. Just adding characters to a game like Pokemon Unite, adding small things to Pokemon Sleep, just a bunch of updates to their mobile games, which is not for me. There's somebody probably out there that's like going crazy over these mobile app updates for Pokemon, but for me personally, I mean, I play Pokemon Go, I play Pokemon Unite. These updates, like, I just don't care. When I watch a Pokemon Presents, I'm literally all in it for just whatever video game, like Switch games are there, you know? So I'm there hoping for remakes, I'm there hoping for, you know, ZA, of course, right? So I wasn't really too amused with the mobile app updates, but hey, there's an audience for it. You might be listening and be loving the new updates that are coming. You know, it's not for me. It's not for me. So with that said, I do want to dive right in to the 2 games that we got information on. 2 bigger games, I should say. First things first, Pokémon Champions is a newly announced, you know, battle type game. I'll go ahead and dive into things. So while watching the Pokémon Presents, we got a glimpse at some Pokemon video game stuff. They showed the trailer for Pokemon Champions, and they started it off by showing these 2 kids playing Pokemon on the Game Boy. Then they showed people playing Pokemon on the N64. I believe it was Pokemon Stadium, I believe they were playing. I forget. Then they showed people playing Pokemon on the Game Boy Advance, then 3DS, then Wii, then 3DS. And they were showing all these old Pokemon games, and I was like, man, we're really about to get a Pokemon remake of sorts. Now, I didn't know what kind, because they're showing Game Boy, then Game Boy Advance, then N64. I didn't know what sort of remake we were getting, but I was hyped. I was like, man, this is going to be something. And then I didn't really show it on the stream, not because I didn't want to, but I didn't know for sure and didn't want to sound stupid. But then they showed somebody playing on a mobile phone, and in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, this whole announcement is totally ruined. Listen, you have enough mobile games. I'm sorry, I wanted a remake of some sort. So when they showed the person playing on a mobile phone, this ruins the entire idea of a Pokemon remake, right? So I can't complain though. They show a brand new game they're working on called Pokémon Champions. This game is in development, and this was leaked even before this Presents happened. There was a big leak, if you all remember, into the Pokemon company. Maybe, I'm forgetting now. Was it Game Freak in particular? You know, there was a lot of Pokemon information leaked late last year, and there was a game called, I believe it was codenamed Synapse, that was leaked, and this was a battle game, 3D battle game. It was all leaked information, multiplayer, all this good stuff. And that game is what Pokemon Champions is. So Pokemon Champions was leaked months back. We didn't know that it would be called Champions. We didn't know that kind of stuff. But if you guys remember, the Nintendo leaker Puro, he came out yesterday or 2 days ago, this week definitely, and kind of teased this Synapse game, what it was codenamed at the time, would be in this presentation. And was he right? Yes, he was. So, once again, battle type of game. You can bring in Pokemon via Pokemon Home. That's a cool feature. Pokemon Home will be supported by Pokemon Champions. You can bring Pokemon in and you can battle. That's what I know. Because, listen, I'm not the biggest Pokemon guy in the world. I like Pokemon, love it, but I'm not the guy who's going to watch a Pokemon Presents and know every single thing that is going on. Now, if you show me an Animal Crossing presentation, I can tell you everything and more. But with Pokemon, not as much of my jam as Animal Crossing, for example, right? So, what I see when I look at Pokemon Champions is, I mean, it almost gives me like Pokemon Stadium vibes. Like, big old battle game. And now there have been some leaks that come out, that have come out, from Central Leaks, claiming that it will have casual, ranked, and private battles. So, we're bringing Pokemon, we're battling. This is a free-to-play game, Pokemon Champions. We have gameplay on screen for our video listeners. But here's the thing for me, okay? Here's really the head scratcher, the thing that I'm not crazy in favor of, and I just, come on, man. The thing is, this game is currently in development. That's what they said at the end of the Pokemon Champions trailer. And by the way, I didn't even say this. The game looks good. The game looks really good. Like, am I going to get this? Yes. And you can assume that it'll be free because it's a mobile game. It looks really good. You can see the gameplay for our video listeners. Currently in development probably means you won't see this game. You won't smell this game until 2026. Now, do I want to think like that? Absolutely not. But the actual gameplay footage, not the trailer, the actual footage that you saw is limited. Like, they're definitely still working on the game, which they said, obviously, right? But I'm just saying, you're not going to see this game this summer. Now, if you do, this will age badly. But currently in development means, yeah, we'll finish it up by the end of the year, maybe drop it early next year. You're not going to be playing Pokemon Champions until 2026. It'll be on the Switch too. So, that for me, cool announcement, great. But do you know what would have been like? This easily could have brought this presentation. I'm not going to spoil what I rate this presentation, but I didn't love it, like overly love it. I would have been hyped today if a game like this dropped right after the presentation. Now, that's kind of a lot to ask for, right? This big battle game comes out today, right? But that would have been so hype. I wish they would do more things like that, you know? So Pokemon Champions, battle game, coming soon, to a mobile phone Switch and Switch 2 near you. But what we all want to talk about, Pokemon Champions is cool. We all like it. We all love it. It looks nice. We're going to download it whether we play it once, twice, or 1,000 times. What we all wanted to see, and what we did end up seeing, was Pokemon Legends ZA. If you're in Canada, you might find yourself saying ZA. Does the UK say Z as well? I don't know. ZA, ZA, whatever you want to say. That is what we saw. We saw a brand new trailer, our first look at actual gameplay of Pokemon Legends ZA. The second Legends game in front of Arceus, or behind Arceus, after Arceus is the best way to put it. And let me just say, this game looks very good. So we got about a 3.5-minute trailer on Pokemon Legends ZA. Let's go ahead and break all of this down. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about the story of the game. This is verbatim from the trailer. So if you watch the trailer, what I'm going to tell you is nothing totally new, but here is verbatim what the narrator said about the story. The story takes place in Lumio City, the largest city in the Kalos region. Prism Tower stands tall at the center of this city of beautiful vistas. These days, Lumios is undergoing a high-tech urban redevelopment plan to turn it into a city that people and Pokemon truly share. Lumios' redevelopment is being managed by Quizartico Inc. You'll become acquainted with the company's CEO, Jet, and her secretary, Vinny. The different people you meet will make your time in Lumios all the richer. This game takes place in Lumio City, the same from Pokemon X and Y. Not sure if it's controversial or not, but X and Y is my favorite Pokemon game. So, for me, I'll be honest, when I was watching the trailer, I didn't put the pieces together that this is like same setting as X and Y. So now knowing that, I'm a lot more excited for this game. So it takes place there, but it's much nicer now. Essentially, the game takes place in a big old city. You watch the trailer and there's like cars, like Pokemon are near cars and stuff. It's really nice. And I'm more just in general, not even Pokemon related. In general, you ask me where I want to go on a summer vacation, a city, or like a beach. I'm picking city. I love places like New York. Never been to London, but I like the vibe that it gives off from watching, things that happen in London, right? So I like cities overall. This being in a city is a plus factor for me. So that's going to be nice. Let me get a little sip of water here real quick. All right, more information from the trailer. You show up in the game, and I'll get to my thoughts in a minute, just go over some info. You show up in the game, you get to your hotel. It's a hotel run by AZ, who I will get into in a minute. It's run by a character named AZ with his business partner, Floette. Now, AZ, I didn't know this, but I do my research after these trailers come out, right? There's a meme template with this AZ character, I believe from Pokemon X and Y, where he says, it's been 3,000 years. I'll put it on screen because I might be speaking gibberish to some of you. And this character now returns in ZA. That's so cool. So, meme template characters back. That's nice. When you get to the hotel, you will meet a companion, an ally, either Urbane or Tawny, and on the trailer it says which one you meet depends on your appearance in the game. Maybe gender, I don't know what part of your appearance will determine that, but you meet one of those people and they are your ally in the game. Let's keep on going here. And there's a lot more characters too. As I said, you have Jet, the company's CEO of Quizartico Inc., who is redeveloping Lumio City. I'm really going into the weeds of the story here. You don't have to know all this, and plus they'll tell you all the story when you get to playing Legends ZA. But I'm sure what you want to know is my thoughts and all the more exciting info of the game. So I'll go ahead and give you that. The 3 starters, if you did not watch the trailer or see this sort of information, are Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. If you're asking me, Max, which starter are you picking? Listen, my gut right away, instant, said Totodile. I don't think Chikorita is in play at all. I don't know. I'm leaning Tepig as well. It'll probably be Totodile. But it's a tough decision to make. I will tell you all the choice that I actually make when the game comes out. And when we talk about it on this podcast, it'll be good stuff. After that, we got shown some features in the game that make this different from a game like Legends Arceus. First things first, they have introduced Wild Zones. Now, Wild Zones were introduced in the trailer as a place where Pokemon thrive, quote unquote. It seems to be a place that Pokemon hang out. You can catch Pokemon there. You can interact, maybe even battle there. But it seemed like a place where if you want to catch Pokemon, you can go to the Wild Zone and do so. That's what it seemed like to me. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's less to it. That's what it appeared like. And that's a cool feature. You know, I went into this trailer really hoping that Legends ZA is very different from Legends Arceus. I shouldn't say very different, but it has its own defining things to the game. And I can say, yes, it appears that way. ZA is definitely different from Legends Arceus. So, Wild Zones, I'm going there every day. There's also what I feel like most people want to talk about. There's also a brand new battle system. And dude, listen, this looks really good. So as a bit of a refresher, you know, in standard Pokemon games, you watch your Pokemon battle, like take Pokemon Leaf Green, for example. You stand there, you tell your Pokemon what to do, and the Pokemon goes and battles, right? Fun stuff. It's a fun turn-based battle thing, right? In Legends Arceus, it's a bit different. You can still tell your Pokemon what to do, and that's, of course, how you win any Pokemon battle. But, you know, it's different. You can walk around, you can do certain things. In, like, for example, the boss fight of Legends Arceus, the final one, you're, like, throwing things at the final boss. It's cool stuff. In Legends ZA, this is a lot different. So, let's say me and my Totodile are battling whoever their Pokemon is. This battle is different. So, when they showed it in the trailer, it seemed a lot more open than any other Pokemon battle ever has been in any other game. Basically, you play a lot more of a role in this battle system. One feature that they showed that I thought is game-changing, too big of a word, that I thought was cool, was say that your Pokemon is being attacked. You can move your character, and your Pokemon will follow you, and then therefore avoid the attack. Like, you in the game play more of a role in these battles. There's also some moves that have a specific reach or range, if you want to put it that way, where you have to be in range and time things right. And it's a lot more complex and a lot more interesting and maybe even a little bit more strategy based. You know, you got to time things, got to make sure that that they're using the right moves. You can also swap Pokemon pretty quick if you need to. And you have Mega Evolution. You can be big and macho and take down the other Pokemon. This is possibly the best way to battle in Pokemon games once this comes out. It's big stuff, man. It's a lot of new features. It's a lot to learn as well, I would assume. I guarantee you that they will walk you through how to do these new battles in the tutorial of the game, so nothing to really worry about there in terms of it being too complex or anything. So that's good. This is all good stuff. And listen, I'm walking you through the honeymoon part of the trailer, where it's like, man, this is some good stuff. This is the ZA that we've wanted, and I'm happy. I'm so happy with this game. It's gonna release in April or May, and it'll be Switch 2 backwards compatible. We're in heaven right now. This game looks dope. Let's start getting to some cons, shall we? So speaking of that April or May release date, at the end of the trailer, we got a release window for the game. Not a date, but a window. And that window is late 2025. Pokemon Legends ZA will be yours. Now, a couple of things to talk about here. First things first. In the Japanese trailer, they specifically said fall of 2025, which doesn't make a difference. Like, late 2025 and fall actually mean the same thing, whether you believe it or not. Because, bro, winter doesn't start until, what, December 21st? They're not releasing a game around, like, right in Christmas time, right? So, it's fall. The game comes out in fall. Fall is late 2025. Fall is what? From like September or October to December. It'll come out in that holiday video game range. So if I had to put a bet on this, expect ZA to release, in my personal prediction, in November. I mean, they can do October, but a lot of Pokemon games happen in November. Most recently, Scarlet and Violet. They also did Scarlet and Violet DLC in 2023 in December, which is not November, but, similar time range, right? So, Pokemon Company does things later rather than earlier, which you can tell based on this release window, late 2025, not early. So, I gotta talk about this. This is pretty disappointing, okay? I mean, I know a lot of this was banked on fan speculation, this being the fact that this game will release in April, May, or June. I feel like a lot of the fan buzz was saying, man, ZA is probably gonna come out in June or May or something like that. So we all got ourselves thinking that. We had no idea what time frame it would actually be. It is fall of 2025. I gotta say that sucks. That really sucks. I mean, we got this game announced in February of 2024. Fast forward a year. I mean, exactly 1 year to the day as of recording this podcast. I mean, we gotta wait almost, I know I'm stretching, almost another year just to play the game. Not actually a full year, but assuming that it comes out in November, 8 months. So that's not good. I mean, this is a lot of waiting for Legends ZA, but I can't rip them for that because the game looks very good and we're going to play it and we're going to sink 50 hours into it. So can I rip them for that late 2025 release date? No. Like, it looks very good. I mean, even consider last February, they didn't have any gameplay to show us. So now that we have gameplay and it looks good and there's new characters and in a new setting, I'll take it. If I have to wait until November, I'll take it. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll be September. Who knows? We don't know. So we'll see what happens there. I do want to also cheer up people with one thing. If you are maybe upset that ZA is not coming out earlier, here's what I said to my stream. If you were there, I said, because this is not coming out, like, listen, say that that ZA came out, for example, say May, right? In terms of Switch 1 games, Nintendo could start taking things a little bit easier. You know, they have a game for March, which is Xenoblade. They can maybe take April off, then have ZA come out in May. Now, because ZA might come out in November, Nintendo themselves, not Pokemon, Nintendo themselves have to start talking about Switch 1 games. You're probably going to hear something in March from Nintendo about what they have to come in April, May, and June for Switch 1. Of course, in April, you're going to hear Switch 2 stuff. I'm talking about Switch 1. Switch 1, they got to start talking. They got to say something in March about what is to come in April. That's what I'm saying, you know? Whereas if they had ZA coming out in May, they might have Switch 1 games covered for a little while, you know? So, essentially, if you're a fan of Nintendo news, this may be a good thing for you. We have to see what, Nintendo actually announces, but this may be a good thing. You get more Nintendo announcements sooner, possibly, right? That's kind of the angle that I took. The only other con that I can point out in this trailer that we have to talk about is, if you remember playing Pokemon Legends Arceus, right? There were a pretty good amount of not major, but performance issues. Frame drops and things of the sort. It didn't look good to begin with, right? Pokemon Legends ZA, in the trailer, during the battles, you could already see frame drops. You could see frame drops in the trailer. A trailer, by the way, that you have all the time in the world to make look good and to make look right and show off perfectly. There are frames dropping and performance issues in the trailer. For those who may not know, frame drops are essentially just, in layman's terms, lag, if you want to call it that. I mean, man, this can't keep happening. I envision a world where one day I can play a game from Nintendo or Pokemon, and it runs at a smooth 60 frames per second like it never has before. And I say like it never has before because some games do that. Like Splatoon 3. It's pretty flawless, right? But I'm talking about games that are not usually 60 frames per second. That should be. I feel like Pokemon is one of them. Zelda is one of them. Come on, I want this world. Now, here's the other thing that I want to talk about that I should have said earlier before I dive into the whole frame drop thing, right? Because this game releases in late 2025, do you guys think, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, Spotify comments or YouTube comments. I don't believe any other platform can comment, but if you can, do so. Because this may release in November, for example, and most likely Switch 2 will already be out, do you think that Pokemon Legends ZA will be a Nintendo Switch 2 game? Listen, of course, it'll come to Switch 1. We know that. But will it also be on Switch 2? Dual release. Now, of course, the argument is max. They can drop it on Switch 1, and then you can easily play it on Switch 2 via backwards compatibility. What I'm trying to propose here is, if you're dropping the newest, biggest, baddest Pokemon game to date, which is seemingly Legends ZA, it seems kind of weird to just release it on Switch 1 and not Switch 2. Of course, it can be played on Switch 2, but you would think that you give it a nice, fresh coat of box art, if that makes sense. Like, how much cooler would it be to walk into a store and see Legends ZA on the shelf with the Switch 2 package, not the Switch 1 package, like box art, you know? That seems a lot more appealing. Because once people move over to Switch 2, there's not a lot of games that should be Switch 1 exclusive. Once again, you can play all Switch 1 games on Switch 2. It's no problem. But I feel like, imagine this. When PS5 comes out and EA Sports is dropping their new Madden game, you're not only releasing it on PS4, but you can also play it on PS5. No, they're putting it out for both consoles. I feel like they should do that with Legends ZA. Yes, it will work just on Switch 1. You can play on Switch 2, but I don't see it making the most sense. Now, does it matter if there's a Switch 2 version or not? Probably not. The only thing that you would get out of it are maybe a performance boost, which means a lot. If they give us that, that'd be great. But I don't think that they will. And also, I think if this was going to be a Switch 2 game, we would probably know right now. They showed the trailer and at the end showed the Switch logo. Of course, makes sense. You would think they would show the Switch 2 logo if they were making a Switch 2 specific version. They didn't do that. Also, that Pokemon leak from last year did leak that ZA would only be a Switch 1 game, so don't expect a Switch 2 version of ZA. I just think that's really weird, because the example that I just said, Madden, when PS5 comes out, they're not just releasing it on PS4, but it's all good because you can play PS4 games on PS5. No, they put it on both consoles. It seems new and fresh. It's cool that way, So it reads weird to me that ZA will only be a Switch 1 game. Just like, imagine walking into a store and having bought Switch 2 games for the past 6 months, and then you buy a Switch 1 game, Pokémon Legends ZA. It's just weird. I support it being on Switch 1, but it should also be on Switch 2. That's weird. I'm not sure why I've been talking about this for so long, but it's just so weird to me. That's weird. Okay, anyways, I'll stop. You get my point. But that's weird. It'll come out. I'm going to play it. Will work on Switch 2. Just some extra thought out there, a little bit weird. But ZA looks really good. We will be buying. And I can guarantee you, this will not be $70. It can't be. There's no way. This cannot be. I'm sorry. Can't be $70. No way. Because of the performance issues, because Pokemon has not taken that leap into $70 games. If they charge $70 for any game, it should be, not sure if it will be, it should be for the next main line. Like the, Gen 10. The next Pokemon blank and blank. Whatever that is, right? Not Legends ZA. Also, if it's only on Switch 1, it definitely shouldn't be $70. So, $60 Legends ZA, if I had to bet, releasing in November of 2025. Let me know what you all think of the game, what you're seeing. Will you buy it day one? Will you wait for Christmas or something? Let me know. With that said, folks, let's get to our next segment of the day, which is the question block segment where you all asked me questions to answer on this podcast. We go ahead and do it right now. Hello there, I am EmSwizzle, and I am to answer your questions you all asked me in the question block segment of the Mario Matter. If you want to ask questions to possibly appear on this podcast, there are actually 3 ways to do so. So, first things first, I post on my main channel YouTube community tab every single Tuesday taking questions. That's a pretty specific thing to do, but that's my biggest written reach on the internet, so I do that. Sorry. I also have a Discord server where you can join that and leave some questions in the channel called Podcast Questions. Link down below to do that if you do have Discord. Or maybe you're more old-fashioned, you are on that Gmail grind. You can send questions to mariomatterquestions@gmail.com. We will consider your question. There's no guarantees that your question makes it on the show. We have a lot every week, but your question is then considered for the show. We got some emails there last week. It's jumping over there at mariomatterquestions@gmail.com. So check it out. And with that said, our first question comes from GRS Talks 1, who asks, "Hey, EmSwizzle, how do you think the Switch 2 game cases will look compared to the Switch 1 cases? It's my birthday today." Happy birthday, then. Happy freaking birthday, GRS Talks 1. Have a good one. So, your question, Switch 2 game cases. Let me get a sip of water here real quick. Switch 2 game cases. See, this is really tough. Because if you look at Switch 1 game boxes right now, it's perfect, right? You have the red spine, which is something that they've never done before. You have the little Switch icon in the top left. You couldn't really make it any cleaner. Xbox, well, not Xbox. Well, actually, yeah. PlayStation and Xbox, they have that little thing at the top that says PS5 or Xbox. You can do that with Switch 2, but, Nintendo has it clean. They have it just in the top left. That's nice. Here's your problem, though. I don't know what you do for Switch 2. So, let's talk about just the spine. So, the Switch 1 game box spine is red. Dude, you can't make the Switch 2 game spine like blue or something. What do you do there? That's tough. What you can do is, you know what? Do this. I'm looking at my game shelf right now. Do what the Wii U did, where the actual box, make the box red, but the spine white. That's a power move. Red box, white spine. So if you have any Wii U games, or even Wii games, that have that red box to it, just like that. But that is now Switch 2 games. Red box, white spine. Because, back in the day, Nintendo used to make, whenever they made special games or Mario games, they would make the box red, like for the Wii U and the Wii and the DS and even 3DS. They didn't do that with Switch, so take your opportunity, make Switch 2 games red box, white spine. I think that's a power move. And then have the same layout, like put the Switch 2 logo in the top left of the front of the box. I was gonna say make that white too, but I don't know, because when they showed off the official Switch 2 logo, the background is red. So I don't know what you do, but I know this for sure. You cannot make the boxes the exact same, because if you're at a game store and you're looking at Switch 2 games, and they're also mixed in with Switch 1 games, you need to be able to tell the difference immediately. If you put PS2, PS3, PS4, and PS5 games all together, you can easily tell from 100 feet away. Maybe not that many. 10 feet away. Which is which, right? Xbox, yeah, pretty much. The Xbox OG had, I believe, black spines. Xbox 360 had, what do they have? Can I look? They have like the white at the top. They're all different. Nintendo is that way too. But you need different Switch 2 boxes. You need them to look different. Thank you for your question. Squidward VR asks, what should the next Mario Kart be named? Next Mario Kart should be named, honestly, if you're smart, you name it Mario Kart 9. You don't name it Mario Kart X because there's only been 8 Mario Kart mainline games, but Max, Mario Kart Tour is mainline. It's going to be Mario Kart 9. They can't skip 9, right? So Mario Kart 9 is what they should name it. Now, Nintendo has been recently liking the route of naming games, not numbers, apart from things like Splatoon. You know, Splatoon 1, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3. Apart from that, you know, you have Super Mario Party Jamboree, when it used to be Mario Party 4, Mario Party 5. They have wacky names now. So they could do that with Mario Kart. However, I don't think that's smart. I think with Mario Kart, you should just keep going up in numbers. Like, bro, what are we at with Final Fantasy? Like 90? I mean, there's Final Fantasy 17, right? Like, you can just keep going up with numbers. Who's stopping you? Just keep doing it, you know? So I say Mario Kart 9. Makes a lot of sense. Be like the Super Bowl, Mario Kart LIX, you know? Roman numerals that, I almost swore. Roman numerals that game. There you go. I can't read. This person, I'm so sorry, asks good questions in the Discord server, but I don't know how to say your name. GUIPC. Let's go with that. They ask, what games do you want to be ported to Switch/Switch 2 for Mario's 40th anniversary as like a 3D All-Stars game? I need the new Super Mario Bros. Series. Come on, Nintendo. All right, cool beans. Thank you for your question. Mario Galaxy. So if you're saying in a 3D All-Stars type of game, like where there's 3 games in there, my 3 would be Galaxy 2, 3D Land from the 3DS, and then let's go like with a wild card. Like not a traditional Mario platformer or a platformer at all. Let's go with Mario Sports Mix. Why not? Mario Sports Mix from the Wii. Let's do that. That is my Mario 40th anniversary collection. Let me know down below if you'd buy it. Green Croc 4 asks, if you didn't have a YouTube channel, would you still buy Switch 2 day one? That's a good question. The answer is yes. And reason being, even when Switch 1 came out, I was in 4th grade, skipped school, and still bought the whole thing day one. So I would say yes, definitely. Now, Switch 1 was the first console that I ever bought day one. Apart from, I think I bought the new 2DS XL day one, if you want to count that, which was actually after Switch. So my statement is still correct. Switch 1 was the first console that I bought day one. I think I would still buy Switch 2 day one, but here's the difference. I'm going to buy like 3 Nintendo Switch 2s. I talked about this before, but essentially, if you're a Nintendo YouTuber and you don't buy 3, do you take this seriously? No, I'm kidding. But here's why I'm buying 3. Number 1, for my main purposes, playing games. Number 2, the second pre-order of Switch 2 that you place, assume that one of your 3 orders gets canceled, so then you have 2. One for playing games, the other one for extra. I mean, if you're a Nintendo YouTuber, what if your main one breaks? What if it's faulty? You have none, right? Because they're all going to be sold out. So you have a second one. Then, within 28 days, if you don't need your second one, return it. You only bought 1. So if you're a Nintendo YouTuber, you want to buy 3. Now, If you don't want 3, God bless, buy them and then return 2 of them. You know? But you should be buying 3. If not 4. Maybe I take it too serious. Bro, we're playing for keeps. I don't know. You buy 3, you're in, you're out. Return 2. I don't know. That's my plan. But yeah, I would probably still buy a Switch 2 day one if I was not a Nintendo YouTuber. Just probably wouldn't buy 3. I'd probably buy a 1 and then be on my way, you know? But yeah, thank you, Green Croc. Bob the Burger asks, favorite sports video game of all time. It can be a Mario sports game or a real life sports game. Doesn't matter. It's probably a real life sports game. And it's probably... So your answer is FIFA 16. When FIFA 16 came out, I no lie after that thing, I might have over 1,000 hours, which when I was 8 years old having 1,000 hours clocked was unheard of. Nowadays, it's somewhat normal. Back then, it was crazy. So I would just play Ultimate Team and just go crazy. So FIFA 16 is probably your answer. However, I've been really into playing Madden as well. Like Madden 25 is not the best Madden game of all time, but it's the newest one, and I've been hooked. So that's probably number 2. Madden's great. I recently bought the NHL game. And NHL, I bought 24, not 25, because 25 is still full price. 24 is the same game, just $18. So I bought that. Fun game. Love it. So FIFA 16 is your answer. Madden. I wouldn't say that NHL is number 3, but, you know, just wanted to bring it up because it kind of fits in the conversation. And then finally, Orange Inkling asks, what is your favorite Animal Crossing game? Animal Crossing New Horizons or Animal Crossing New Leaf? I put this question here because, man, what a debate. This debate is so fun to have every few months. I've been really into playing Animal Crossing New Leaf as of recently. Like, I got back into it, and I'm so hooked on it again. Like, I've been playing every single day for hours, man. It's crazy. So, I mean, listen, my answer is New Leaf. New Leaf is better than New Horizons. And I am willing to have that debate with anybody who wants it. Like, New Leaf is just the all-time best game, and it beats New Horizons in everything that it possibly could. The 3DS didn't have enough power for you to be able to put furniture outside. You can't do that. Didn't have enough power to terraform. It's not like they didn't not want to add terraforming and things outside. You think 3DS can load all that? Switch could barely load all that. So with what they could, New Leaf is way better. Tortimer Island, where's that on New Horizons? The better hourly soundtrack themes, where's that on New Horizons? All of the physical stores, physical Roost, physical retail shop, Main Street, Street Pass functionality, where's that on New Horizons? Where's all of the Nintendo items? Sure, you have Super Mushrooms in New Horizons. Sure, you have Superstars. Sure, you have Pipes. Where's the Star Fox items? Where's the Pikmin items? Where's the Zelda items? You don't have them. New Leaf is number 1. Sorry to get fired up at the end of the podcast here, but I will have that debate with anybody any day. New Leaf is better, 100%. Folks, that is it for the Mario Matter, episode number 130. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, viewing, subscribing, sharing, rating the podcast 5 stars. Anything that you do to support the show is very much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in weekly, or maybe this is your first ever episode. I don't know. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for your continued support. I will be back here Saturday, hopefully with a guest, hopefully, and that'll be good stuff. We will talk Nintendo news, and I will see you all next Saturday for more Nintendo goodness. Adios.